In this video we're making a simple red string sliding knot bracelet with a centre bead. Our bracelet has two sliding knots that slide along the back here to adjust the size of your bracelet, and the bead is held in place with a little knot on each side. For our bracelet we need 55 centimeters of 2mm satin nylon cord. We also need a bead that's got a hole large enough to fit over your thread. I've got a cute little glass bead here with a 2mm hole that's hopefully going to fit over our 2mm thread. If your thread is hard to get through, you can cut your thread on an angle and put either glue on the end or sort of singe it if it's a nylon based thread. If you can make that thread go down to a smaller point at the end, then you can often get it through your hole that way. But it does really help if you can start with a bead that's got a hole that's a similar size to your thread size. First up, you want to pop your bead onto your thread and then place the ends together, pulling that bead down to the center of your thread. Then we're going to tie a knot on each side of our bead to secure that in place. Now, keeping that bead in the center and holding it with a little piece of our finger poking out, then we bring this right side cord around our finger 3 times to make 3 full loops. Then we can gently remove the loops off our finger and poke that tail down all 3 loops, pulling it out the right hand side. Now you can gently pull that knot tight, trying to work with it so that it comes down nice and tidy and sits in that same position, holding that bead in place. Pulling your knot really nice and tight, and then we can swap our bracelet onto the opposite side and do the same thing again. So holding it with our finger coming out a little bit past the bead, then with our right hand bring this cord around our finger 3 full loops. Gently bring these loops off our finger and poke that end down all 3 loops and pull it out the right hand side. Again, just gently working that knot down nice and tight and tidy so that it sits up next to that bead and holds it in place. Make sure both your knots are really nice and tight, and you also want these ends to be about the same length as well. I can see that mine are, but you can give one a little trim just to even them up. Now it's on to our sliding knots. So lay your bracelet down on a table with the ends overlapping, and we've got this left side on the top. Then we can gently pick it up and holding it with this left side cord at the back, making sure you've got a little bit of length on this side, and then we're going to bring it over the front, down and out the back to create our first loop there. Then again, bringing the tail over the front, down and out the back to create our second loop. And then again for a third loop as well, over the front, down and out the back. Then with our little end piece here, we gently bring that around and poke it down all 3 of our loops, pulling it out the right hand side, and then gently working our knot down nice and tight. Once that knot is nice and tight and tidy, we can swap our bracelet onto the opposite side, holding it in our left hand with this left cord at the back. Make sure you've got some length, and then bring it over the front, down and out the back to create that first loop. And then again over the front, down and out the back for our second loop. And then again for a third loop as well. Then with our little tail end piece here, we gently bring it around and poke it down all 3 of our loops, pulling it out the right hand side and gently working our knot down nice and tight. With this second sliding knot, you want to pull it down and have it sit evenly with the first sliding knot as well. So just work it down slowly, and once it's in position, then you can pull it nice and tight. Now you can check your sliding knots, make sure they're sliding okay and sitting nice and evenly. If you're happy, then you can go ahead and cut the little tails off. I leave about 1 centimetre on each side and then singe with a lighter as well. So there's your red string sliding knot bracelet with a centre bead.